Hello, everybody. Welcome to the return of Dirt Talk with Drake York. Obviously, a different platform now. We got some nice microphone equipment, and we're kicking off the season with Dominic Gorden. Dominic, how are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, and a friend recommendation came up, and it was you. And is eating cans at Monster Energy an actual job?
No, I just made my Facebook as a joke, honestly. Well, not even really a joke. I just got bored. And, if you look on there, I don't post anything on there.
Yeah, so, guys, if you see Dominic, don't be afraid when he smiles because his teeth are fine. They're not injured from eating Monster Energy cans. So, Dominic, how did you get introduced to racing in general?
Well, my dad raced when he was much younger. But, so I started off in, asphalt little flat carts. Yeah, so, his dad actually, used to race, the go-karts. He got my dad into it, and at first my dad didn't really want to do it, put me in him, but after a little while he finally thought, okay, we could put him in, and since then, it's just kind of been an almost every weekend thing.
So you talk about racing with those pavement carts. Were they like a road course car, or did you do some ovals with them?
Actually, I'm pretty sure there was no ovals. Obviously you can get, have you ever been to, the Chowchilla dirt track?
Yeah. Actually, I haven't been to Chowchilla, but I've seen it on Fast 4 and stuff like that.
Yeah, have you seen the little flat carts that they run there?
Yeah, is it that type of stuff you're talking about?
Yeah, just less, body work, or not body work, but, actually, yeah, body work would be a good word for it. Just less, basically, external stuff.
So, how did your pavement career go? Of course, obviously, Nick, you're now known for an outlaw kart driver. Just talk about your time in pavement cars.
Well, it definitely had its ups and downs, that's for sure. So we started off, so there's a lot more classes than there are, in dirt. And it just kind of varied between, what track or what series you were running. So, really, it just really had its ups and downs. One weekend we could go out and win and dominate the weekend, and then the next weekend we just would not do any good.
Yeah, so then obviously, like we talked about, you're a dirt racer now. How did the dirt outlaw kart path come into play?
Well, my dad kind of got, finished with, he didn't really like to run asphalt anymore. It's just a lot more drama and stuff. Way more than at the dirt track. People would come over and just try to small talk with you until they could figure out your setup. And my dad just finally got fed up with it, and he's like, okay, he talked to my uncle, and they were finding different racing, and then my uncle knew a guy who knew Pete, and he got in touch with Pete to see because at the time he only had Tyler driving for him. We got in touch with Pete, and it basically just went from there. Started, I think, 5 races before the end of the season at Red Bluff. I think it was 2018 that we started.
So you alluded to Pistol Pete Johnson. Of course, if you're involved with the outlaw kart racing out here, or even just a fan, you probably heard of Pistol Pete. We could go on for the rest of the amount of time just talking about Pete, but this is about Dominic. So, Dominic, we talk about Pete and all of his success. What's it like to have a guy like Pistol Pete as your driving coach?
He always knows what's going on. He always knows what I need to fix just by watching 2 laps. And then think about how much he can figure out with watching a 10-lap heat race. He's always got our cart set up right. Rarely do I ever get a wrong setup. He knows where I need to run. He'll tell me that, and he'll basically pound it into my head. before I go out, and he's always got the right stuff. He's always got the right setup, right motor, right everything. Like he can correct my driving, like basically on the track almost.
Does having Pistol Pete as your coach, does that put pressure on you at all?
With how good of setups he gives me and how good of driver coaching, not as much as you would think. Obviously, I do want to impress a guy like Pete, but honestly, with how he, like, everything that he does for us, it's not that hard to impress him.
Well, that is very good for you, Dominic. I mean, I think a lot of people, for as long as some people have been racing, like you, for example, starting out with those pavement cars, I think that would rattle a lot of people's cages. But you just seem to be calm, cool, and collected with all that.
Yeah, I really like the switch from pavement because I've been racing it 8 years. I wanted to change. So, honestly, dirt racing has opened me up to more things that, like once I started on the, okay, so in asphalt, I used to think, that NASCAR was absolutely lame. I hated stock cars. All I wanted to do is drive F1. But then once I switched over to oval racing, running at Red Bluff really kicked it off for me. Once I started running there, I thought NASCAR was the best thing ever. It was a great change. I mean, as I'm talking about this, I'm just staring at my Kyle Busch diecast car, and then I got NASCAR on my TV right now. Yeah, it just opened up like a whole new world of racing. Like, I just love the dirt way better.
Yeah, you talk about how much Red Bluff opens doors for people. You, the season before at Cycleland, you won the Jim Shirley Memorial. I believe it was your like 5th or 6th race ever in an outlaw car. And Red Bluff,
actually,
it was your what?
I don't believe it was the Jim Shirley. I think it was just the first points race.
All right. I knew it was one of the early races. I couldn't remember which, but and then Red Bluff, I mean, you were dominant at Cycleland all year, it seemed like. Then you come to Red Bluff, and you were fast every race. You talk about Pete getting your car set up perfect, but it never seemed to really come together. Something would happen late in the race, and you'd fall out. How frustrating does that get after a while?
Like, towards the very end, like, after such a good, like, I don't know if you would watch me in my heat races and, like, the trophy dashes, but I would always be up there. Heat races, I think I won, I'm pretty sure I won most of the ones I was in. That just gives you a boost of confidence going into the main, but then something happens, confidence drops. Like, sometimes after that happens, when I'm, like, going for the win almost, like, I'm passing for first, sometimes something happens, I don't know if this happens to other people, but it happens to me. I will sometimes, like, almost tear up in my helmet, because I know I just ruined a race, basically.
Yeah. I get what you're saying there, Dominic, but then I think it was, like, the second to last points race. It was something really close towards the end of the season, but you finally won, and how big of a relief was that to you when you finally won?
That was a big relief, because now we finally I can say that I won a race at Red Bluff and Cycleland.
Yeah, not a lot.
All the tries of earlier races at Red Bluff, it was just a relief to finally get a win.
Yeah, and you also had some success out at the Chowchilla Kart Nationals. Talk about that weekend a bit. That was a big one for you.
Yeah, it was a big one. I mean, I love that track. Like, maybe not as much as Cycleland and Red Bluff, but it's a great track. I wish there was a top side. That's the biggest thing.
Well, if you like Chowchilla, have you ever raced at little Lakeport?
I have not. We were trying to do it over do you remember the big break during Red Bluff season?
Yeah, I actually went to a race at Lakeport during that break.
Yeah, we were trying to go to a race, but we ended up just not going.
Yeah, if you like Chowchilla, I think also for race fans out there, if you like Chowchilla, you'll more than likely like Lakeport, because Lakeport, I think it's a little bit smaller than Chowchilla, but it kind of races the same as well.
Yeah, like, I've seen quite a few like videos and pictures of Lakeport, and almost every time I mistake it for Chowchilla.
Yeah, the same style of building too.
Yeah, just the wall and all the grandstands are all in the same spot.
Yeah, both those tracks, race fans, if you ever get a chance during the winter, they're not paying us, I promise. I just really love dirt racing. So those are two tracks you got to go check out. But Dominic, you talk about coming over to dirt the first couple of times out at Red Bluff. What was that transition like for you?
From asphalt to Red Bluff, it was kind of a hard transition just because I'm so used to basically doing almost switchbacks, like left, right. Whereas now, the only time I'm turning right is when I'm going into the little channel that leads onto the track.
Yeah.
But the biggest transition was just really, like, getting used to how the cart handled and, like, feeling. One of the biggest transitions was getting used to the seat.
Really?
Yeah, because if you look on my Instagram and you see some of the pictures of my cart, you'll see the seat only goes up to about halfway up my back. No restraints, nothing. Just sit in it, and then you can fire it up and go.
Yeah, I raced pavement cars as well out at Shasta, actually. Kind of the same type of racing you did. And I actually found the seats quite the same, except obviously, you have to buckle down with the outlaw cart stuff. And for those people who don't know, like Dominic mentioned, those cars don't even have seatbelts. How sketchy is it running without seatbelts, Dom?
Well, surprisingly, they hold you in pretty well. Like, I have never came out of my seat, even spinning out, getting up in the air. The only problem is I have been run over before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so pavement racing, it's not for the faint of heart at all, for sure. Dominic, at the Jim Shirley Memorial this year, you got a chance to, I believe you've done this a few times now, you got a chance to run the 250 intermediate division and then the OI division. And the thing was, those A-main events were back to back. So how hard is it transitioning, not only, getting out of the car and then running to the other car, but how do you change up your style in that short of amount of a time?
Well, the biggest thing is just, like, this is a really thing that I have to remember, is the 500 sometimes will not handle as well because there's supposed to be twice as much horsepower. So I just gotta remember that.
Yeah, so talk about your Jim Shirley Memorial while we're on the topic here. Hopefully we'll be able to get some racing in at Cycleland this week. The weather in Chico, in case if you haven't been watching the news, we had some flash floods last night here in Chico. Fortunately, me and my...
in like an hour, there was already 3.5 inches or something.
Yeah, it was something crazy. I know people all over town were having flooding issues. Fortunately, me and my family here in, I believe we're in the east side of Chico, but we didn't have, a big flood. Actually, if you look outside on our driveway, it doesn't even look like it rained at all. So, once again, just keeping our thoughts with everybody in Chico affected by the flood. I think Elijah Jones's work, that thing got, turned into an ocean pretty much.
Yeah, I heard, Kyler Garner, she posted something on her story. The water was only like 8 feet from like her front door or something.
Yeah, so all sorts of people all over Chico having those types of issues. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get in some racing at Cycleland. Silver Dollar Speedway has not yet released anything if they're going to race. But getting back to you, Dominic, we talk again about how much you've accomplished in such a short amount of time. Did that really surprise you in Outlaw Karts?
Oh, for sure. Especially going from, like, Red Bluff not doing too good. I mean, kind of bummed, especially on the in West Coast. I was in the C-Main. Final transfer slot. I had gotten the white flag, and in 1 and 2, I spun.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then, yeah, so especially going from Red Bluff, not doing so good in those last 5 races, and then our very next race, somehow winning it, that was just a big relief, and I knew it was going to be a good season.
Yeah, and
turned
then,
out to be.
yeah, Cycland was very good for you. So, Dominic, over the course of 2019, what is your year going to look like?
Well, we're going. I think in just a couple weeks we're going back to North Carolina for the what was it? I could just check right now. I don't know if you went to North Carolina for any of the bigger races, but
I've been to Millbridge once. That was it.
yeah, they gave out posters that have the dates and stuff.
Okay.
So on the 22nd and 23rd, I will be at Millbridge for the Speed 51 Open.
All right. Is that the only race you're going to run out there this year?
We're also going to run the KKM Give Back.
Okay. In 250 or open, because I don't know if you're old enough yet. You have to be 15, I think, to actually get a chance to drive at Chili Bowl if you do end up winning the race.
Well, I know for the Speed 51 Open, since there's no age limit since they're not doing something like a Chili Bowl ride, I know we're going to run open for that, which is actually what we're going to be running at Cycleland for the rest of the season, open in 250.
Okay.
But I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know obviously you got really big guys in the KKM Give Back show, but it's stacked. Like, you got people like Logan Logan might race it.
Logan's already probably a lock for Chili Bowl, so I don't think he'll run it.
Yeah, but it is just a big race.
Yeah.
Because obviously if he wins it, they're probably going to give it to second.
Yeah.
Logan's probably already racing it.
Yeah, I remember watching the Speed 50, or not the Speed 51, the KKM race at Millbridge last year, and it's Caden Quapple, I think his name was, the younger Quapple brother. He's like 12, and he about won that race. And I'm just sitting there thinking, how are they going to score this if Caden actually wins the thing? Because, like I said, he's 12, and you have to be 15 to run Chili Bowl. So, you still can win and enter the race if you're younger than 15. You just won't get the Chili Bowl ride.
Yeah, or they might, delay. No, because if they delay it, then they either have to get 2 cars for a ride, or basically just not run a KKM Give Back, or not run it for a Chili Bowl ride.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, Dominic, that's it for today. We thank you for your time, and have a good season, buddy.
All right, thank you. You too.
All right, everybody, that was Dominic Gorden, driver of the 52Y, Amber Norman racing car. Real quick before we go off, some of the events that we've got scheduled up here in the Chico area the next couple of weeks. We talked about Silver Dollar Speedway. They have not been very fortunate these past couple of weeks with the weather. If you do remember, we did get a chance to bring the Outlaws into town and run the Mini Gold Cup, which was won by Carson Macedo. But last week, the weather was pretty good to us out at Cycleland. It rained, I believe, earlier in the week, but not so bad where they were forced to cancel the races. Casey Smits won that open race, barely held off Dawson Hamas for that. Some other winners, Nate Jones in the OI. Chevy Schroer won the box stock race. That was a good one. Chevy really drove a great race there. Let's see who else won. Mikey Wheeler Jr. won the beginner box stock race. That was really cool to see, especially since Mike was racing that night and he came down to give his son a hug. That was really cool. Demo Mitri won the sportsman race. I believe that's all the divisions we had for that night. Cycling scheduled to have their first points race this Saturday, but as we talked about, the heavy rains in Chico may not allow us to do that. So we're just kind of waiting, seeing how the rest of this week turns out, and hopefully we'll have Cycleland this week. Last week I got the opportunity to go out to Cycleland for their motocross event, and I might just have to say, if you've never been to a motocross race, you got to check it out. I believe Cycleland Speedway has some dates. The next race is April 14th. That's the next scheduled race, but it's a really neat event, or neat series, I should say, that Lowell Morale and everybody at Cycleland Speedway puts on. So, yeah, April 14th. Remember that date. That's the next Cycleland Motocross date. But that's it for this edition of Dirt Talk with Drake York. We thank you for joining us and have a good rest of your day.